Okay. Ready? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Workshop for November 13th already. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a presentation of mule deer management plans from Adrian Archuleta and company. It's all yours, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, Adrian Archuleta, Area Wildlife Manager with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today to discuss a couple of our local deer herd management plans with you all. Joining me today on my left here is Area Terrestrial Wildlife Biologist and the author of these herd management plans, Brad Weinmeister. Just a little brief kind of history on herd management plans here in Colorado. The agency is committed to looking at these, revisiting and revising on a 10-year cycle. The Southwest region is currently due for our deer herd management plans. So we're here today to talk to you about a couple that affect Montezuma County. But on our website, CPW website, you can find all the herd management plans for Southwest Colorado that are being revised, and also you can view the approved management plans that are in effect right now. So the focus, or where we're going to start, is the D29 Mesa Verde herd management plan. This herd comprises GMUs 72 and 73 and encompasses the majority of Montezuma County. We'll also be discussing the D24 groundhog deer herd management plan, which does cover a portion of the northern Montezuma County. Several units make up that data analysis unit or herd. So with that, I will turn it over to Brad Weinmeister.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. So yeah, I'm Brad Weinmeister. I'm the terrestrial biologist for Colorado Parks and Wildlife out of the Durango office. And yeah, Adrian gave a pretty good summary of the herd management plan and their process. The one I would like to talk about right now is D29, which encompasses GMUs 72 and 73. This herd management plan was last written in 2014. At that time, we set a population objective of 5,500 to 7,000 animals in the population. And prior to that, the population objective, management objective, was 11,000. So in the early 1990s and into the 2000s, their population had declined pretty significantly. And when we wrote the plan in 2014, it had kind of bottomed out. And since then, we've seen signs of recovery. And currently, we estimate this population at 9,300 animals, which is slightly above our objective of 5,500 to 7,000. And you can see that actually on the next page on the first graph there, just kind of the growth and performance of that population. That gray bar are the past objectives, and the blue line there is the population growth or change. On the next graph is the buck-doe ratio, or what we call the sex ratio. And this is kind of our way of measuring the number of bucks in the population. There again, we revised this in 2014 and had an objective of 23 to 28 bucks per 100 does. We've been pretty much above that. We're right at the upper end over the past several years. And the fluctuations that you see in the graph, that blue line, are observed ratios. This past year, we observed 27 bucks per 100 does. And that fluctuation is most likely caused by just error in our sample size, where one year we're seeing more bucks and the next year we aren't. It's not actually one year we have 27 and the next year we have 32. We aren't changing the number of bucks that much. So yeah, right now the past year was 27, the average has been 30. We actually increased licenses into this population for bucks 2 years ago and have tried to bring that buck ratio down just a little bit into objective. And then the next figure 3 is the fawn ratio, and this is just the number of fawns in the population. It kind of gives us an idea of growth and how that population, what we can expect in that population. Well, fawn numbers are going to indicate a decrease in population, whereas when we have good fawn numbers, that population is healthy and growing. And over the past 20 years, we've had around 51 fawns per 100 does, which is fairly good. This past year we classified 57 fawns per 100 does, which is really, really good. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this population grow, is that we're getting more fawns into the population. On figure 4, the next figure is harvest. And over the past 20 years, we've harvested a low of 443 bucks out of the population to a high of 713 bucks. Actually, that high of 713 was this past year. Like I mentioned previously, that 2 years ago we did increase those buck licenses to try to bring that ratio down into objective. And you can see that with the hunter harvest. The doe harvest has been fairly low. There again, 2 years ago we did start giving out some doe licenses in this population to try to bring that at least stabilize, if not bring that population down a little bit, so we're close to objective. And currently all of our doe harvest is on private land through private land only licenses or game damage permits. And this past year hunters harvested 106 does on private property. So some of the significant issues that we're looking at in this DAU, and this is common throughout the Southwest and through the area that we're in, is impacts due to human population growth and just more people out there in critical habitat, which includes winter range, migration corridors, production areas, and even high elevation summer range. We're seeing more and more people in those habitats. Some of this is due to ex-urban development, more houses being built, more people coming into the area, and kind of building in some areas that hadn't had any growth before. Energy development common across the area. Over in this country, you see more of the carbon monoxide wells. We're also seeing demands from energy and forms of renewable energy as well. And then lastly, outdoor recreation is continuing to grow and is popular, and we're getting not only more people out there on trails and using the outdoors, but we're also seeing an increased demand for trail development through the area. And it's not just one of these that's really driving it. It's when you start piling all these together and the cumulative impacts on the population and the habitat that these animals live in. So this is a really big concern in the area. Actions that we can take are to try to protect important deer habitat and to mitigate development where it does occur. As everyone has seen, another concern is drought. We've been in that drought cycle since early 2000s, and that has played a significant impact on deer and elk populations in the area. Without good habitat, we can't grow animals. Game damage in this area is fairly minimal. There are some localized areas of concern, and we try to address those as we can with private land only licenses and damage hunts. And then in 2020, we had mandatory testing for chronic wasting disease in this unit, and it was detected at that time. Our prevalence rate was 2.1%. We haven't had good sample size since 2020 to update that prevalence rate, but it is detected, and something to keep in mind with this population. Also with the disease is hemorrhagic disease, and hemorrhagic disease is found in this population and adjacent populations, and it's a disease that's, you see it in some years. This year we've seen a little bit more just when it's drier and animals congregate a little bit more in the late summers and early falls. It seems to spread a little bit more, and we do see mortality with mule deer with hemorrhagic disease. In some populations, like in whitetail and prong, where hemorrhagic disease can take out entire populations of animals. With mule deer, they're somewhat resistant, but I think in bad years it does actually play a role in their population and can decrease that population. So that's something that we have locally. So those are some of the significant issues that we're looking at in this population. Given that, we're still looking at what we've heard from hunters over the past years and from observation, and even with the herd performance with this population growing and is actually doing fairly well. Our recommendation is to increase the population objective and raise that to 9,000 to 12,000 animals, and that would put it back in line to what was prior to 2014, what we were managing for at that point. So it's not like a big change. It's just we're seeing that population respond positively now and want to take advantage of that and get that objective back to where it was at that time. For the buck-doe ratio, we aren't proposing any changes. It's at 23 to 28, and from what we've heard and just comments where we've seen, it seems like people are fairly happy. It's kind of a good balance of seeing some good bucks, quality bucks out there on the landscape, but yet still getting licenses out there and available to hunters so that they don't have to wait 5 years or 3 years to draw that license to go out and hunt. So that's D29, the Mesa Verde herd. So,
Just add on one thing. Thanks, Brad. Since you mentioned CWD, and we do have a chronic wasting disease management plan in place. So it kind of guides our management and how we might respond via licenses once we hit certain thresholds. Because it was detected in this herd out here, albeit at a low prevalence rate right now, the agency is committed to doing intensive testing, anywhere from a 5 to 10 year cycle. So as Brad mentioned, I think that was 2020, we last did mandatory testing. So if you were awarded a deer license, it was mandatory. We weren't chasing people down and issuing them tickets if they didn't come, but we did see good response. It was free of charge when we do mandatory. We're currently doing voluntary testing, so for folks that are interested, if they harbored a deer and or elk, they can bring it in and we'll pull samples and test it for a $25 fee. But we do also have the Ute Mountain Ute tribe over here, and they do bring us samples from deer they harvest, and we are testing those free of charge for them. So that does help us too to get some more samples over the years when we're not doing quote unquote mandatory testing. But as Brad mentioned, we're well below 5% prevalence right now, but it is something that we are monitoring, keeping tabs on.
So if you have any questions on that, I can address those, or if you'd like, I can give, with the D29, or the D24, I'm sorry, the groundhog deer plan, it's similar. It's kind of the same things that we've seen in D24. We're, other than, let's see,
I was looking at your
the
ratio.
are the same.
Yeah, your ratios pretty closely mirror D29s, just in bigger numbers.
Yeah, definitely a bigger herd, and our buck ratio is just a little bit lower than what we see in D29, but still, we're still trying to manage for that same 23 to 28 bucks per 100 does. The population objective for that set in 2014 was 15,000 to 19,000 deer, and we're estimating it at 18,300, so just right underneath that upper end of the objective. Fawn ratios have been really doing well in this population as well. We saw 57 fawns per 100 does this past winter, and we're harvesting a little less does overall on that population, just trying to keep it within the objective. with the Mesa Verde herd, we're above objective and trying to bring it down slightly. So with the changes that we're proposing for the groundhog population, it's similar. It's the proposed new objective would be 19,000 to 23,000 animals, which just bumps it up kind of to that next year from what it was. And we're proposing to keep the buck-doe ratio at 23 to 28 bucks per 100 does. So yeah, really similar herds.
Yeah.
And
Just, I mean, your numbers are larger, but you're also managing a larger area in groundhog than you are
yeah,
in the Montezuma area, so.
definitely, and it spills over quite a bit farther north with Unit 70 being included with that. So,
How's your hunter pressure? We see a lot of hunters, a lot more hunters than normal?
So far this year, just anecdotal, but yes, we've seen good numbers. You know, just gauging ourselves at our local Durango office. Yeah, it's people are still coming. I think we are seeing a little bit of an overflow effect, if you will. If you hadn't heard, been following, based on the winter the Northwest kind of area the state had last year, they did cut a number of licenses and shortened season dates for some seasons. So we'll see, but it does feel like we did have some overflow from that. So,
Okay.
but good turnout. Yeah, these deer tags, I think across our area, buck tags go generally in our primary draw. They are in demand. Brad mentioned, you know, and we're not managing for these tags to take, you know, a number of points, but they do draw interest. So.
Gerald, do you have anything? Any questions?
What brought that spike back there in 2009, 2010, what, in the harvest and stuff? On your chart?
In D24?
Well,
Even in
on both of
D29?
them. I mean, both of them, during those years right there, the
Yeah.
harvest numbers went up quite a bit.
yeah, that would have been driven by doe licenses. It looks back in 2007, started putting some doe licenses out and increased those for a couple of years.
What brought it up?
To tell you the truth, I'd have to look. I don't know what would have. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the.
Yeah, no.
The reason. That was before I got
Just see
over into this country.
that much of a spike right there during that period of time, it just,
I think actually, I'm sorry, part of that might have been just to address some of the conflicts out on the ag fields, where we're seeing more deer and higher priced crops, and we're trying to alleviate that. That's would be my guess without seeing the notes for those years.
Travis, Ian, you guys have anything?
no.
Well, thank you again for the time. I will add, you know, this is a public process for our agency, so it's why, you know, it's important to get out in front of you all and the public. We've noticed this on our website, press releases, so for you all, the public, we are asking, you know, we welcome feedback. We're taking public comment on these through December the 15th. Any comments can be emailed, sent directly to jamin.grigg@state.co.us. His email address is on our website on the herd management plan. At that point, we'll incorporate that public feedback, and then these will be presented to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, I believe, at the January meeting for consideration. So welcome any feedback if any of the public is so interested.
You bet. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Appreciate the information, really do.
Thank you.
And anybody listening out there, comment, go ahead.
Please.
Please.
All right, thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
Why don't, let's bring Justin, Julian up here, and we'll get this contract negotiated. We'll save you for last.
Always ready.
Okay. I know you don't have anything to do, so.
No, I'm bored, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Ink pens that don't work, you know?
All right, just kind of a quick little recap. A couple months ago, we kind of reached out to redo a contract with Julian here at the racetrack. A couple weeks ago, I came back, and I don't think you were here, Commissioner Lindsay, but we kind of was wondering about trying to take off 1 month, or Julian had asked me if he could take off 1 month just because he kind of has issues during that first month of April, number one with weather, basically.
Yeah.
So what he did is the commissioners decided that they wanted to keep the lease the same. So he's okay with keeping the same number of months. He's just wondering if he can change that April to September. So instead of us going from April to August, it'd be May to September. And that's pretty much what this lease outlines, so.
That's pretty easy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
And as long as you guys are okay with that, for the most part, I think he's kind of willing to sign this and be done with it and then get it in front of you guys tomorrow for final approval, so.
Sure.
It-
I
it-
think so. Go ahead.
It's the,
Not me.
is that me?
Got some feedback.
Oh, it is you.
Well, I'll operate with it like this for now.
Somebody probably played with the knobs.
Yeah, I'm loud.
Yeah.
So, it's no different. I mean, the lease terms are the same. It seems like it makes a lot of sense to push it into a month where racing can happen. No
Yeah.
point in having a track that's snowed out or rained out. So, terms are pretty much the same, amounts the same. We changed some of the blackout dates. I don't think this is very hard.
Okay.
No, and then unless there's something that you want to add to this, or you'll have to turn your.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go. The only other thing that I guess we were gonna present and ask, cause I know we had discussed it with, Commissioner Candelaria here as well, but we may need to also see if we can get approval to do our payment when the actual date starts, because we have money set aside. The problem is we're using 90% of it to get the, repairs done on the facility that we need to get done. So if we go spend all that, we're not gonna have anything to work with during the winter. So if we could make that payment then, that would be great for us. If not, maybe we could propose that maybe we pay like half that lease now and half when it actually starts. I'm not sure, but I do need to revisit that.
So when you say when it starts, are you talking or I guess it would be May?
It would be, yeah, we would pay it before the first event ever occurred. Yeah. Because we don't get any of our funds released for the track. It's not going to be till after, in the spring times when all of our sponsorships renew, so.
Well, I can weigh in legally. It's not gonna make
No.
a difference. I mean, you certainly still will have to maintain, insurance that you need to maintain when you go on the track and do what you're doing through the winter. But as far as getting the payment up front, legally, it's not a problem. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I mean, legally, there's no issue there. And it makes sense. Well,
Yeah. We can't make a decision today, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
see a problem.
I understand it.
Gerald, you?
No, I don't either, as long as it happens before we start the races.
Yeah.
So the only thing is then we're just gonna have to change, I think that lease right now reads that payment is due at the date of signing. And so we'll just have to tweak it. And Julian, are you okay with making payment due May 1st?
Yeah, and that's what I had in mind. We just pay it May 1st, and then our first event's like May 3rd, so
Yep.
we'd be good to go.
Okay.
So I can make that adjustment. Julian, I know you're here today. We've got one more thing on the agenda. I can get that adjustment made this afternoon. If you want to hang around and then sign, or else the other option is I can just get it made and we can get an email to you, and then you can just send us a copy or whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah, if you want to just send me the email copy, and I'll just scan it and send it back to Justin tomorrow.
Okay,
It would work.
that works here. So, Justin, I'll just get that over to you as soon as we're done today.
Perfect. Then I'll get it back to you.
Great.
unless you need me tomorrow.
No, I don't think so.
You know, the other option, Justin, I don't know if you've got access to a computer now, but if you want to get in there and just change that clause to due May 1st, you might be able to just,
Just edit it. Yeah, I think I can edit that on my end. I think I have permissions.
I'm just thinking, make this as convenient and easy as possible for everybody.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
sounds good. We'll get it back to you tomorrow, and that way you guys can take a look at it. And,
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
okay.
Julian, if you just want to hang out, we can get this thing printed if you want to sign. Travis has it right here.
Less than 3 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, emergency manager. Handbook representative, or whatever we'll want to call you today.
Yeah, whatever my name is today.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Commissioners, Ian, Mr. Anderson. So, you received the packet, and basically here to add a paragraph to the employee handbook. It hasn't been updated since July 24, 2022. The paragraph basically will allow a salary employee, an exempt employee, to receive overtime when they are deployed outside of the county to assist in emergency management, that anybody has an emergency or a declaration of disaster. That could be hurricanes, that could be Fremont County like we sent some people to, it could be anybody, anywhere from 8 days to whatever. When we go on deployments, we work anywhere from 16 to 20-hour days sometimes, and I think it's fair for the salary. Second thing is it allows Montezuma County, some of our people that have deployed go underneath, have gone underneath other entities like fire departments, et cetera. So Montezuma County wasn't getting the funding. So with this, it allows for a salary employee that is trained to go to a disaster, and then that reimbursement comes back within a month. And it could be for a fire, it could be for emergency management purposes, et cetera. And it will pay all the entirety of the wages, whether it's overtime or not overtime. So you basically, it's a win-win. One, I get the overtime, I'm saying about me, and so I'm not working, salary, and of course weekends, salary, right? So this would allow me to get a little extra funding, but it will also allow you guys to have me for free, totally paid for whatever time I'm gone. So it makes sense. A lot of counties have been doing this. I've talked with HR, they're good with it. I've talked to admin, they're good with it. Finance, there's a button you hit, and it just goes to salary and Cassell. When they're done, they unclick the button. They can calculate it. There's no impact on finance for paperwork. I'll be doing the paperwork. So it's all they do is click the button. So let's see.
We've been paying him?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question too.
I don't know. I haven't checked my
When do you
pay
get
stub
paid?
in a while. Maybe you don't pay me.
Yeah, I thought this was a volunteer.
I'm having fun either way. I'm good with it, No other changes or updates for the employee handbook. I checked around. That was about it for this year at least. So it's a win-win, way I'm looking at it. And Commissioner Candelaria, last year when I went out, he was saying, well, why aren't we part of it? Because we don't have it in policy. Otherwise, they won't pay.
Yeah.
There's no way. So we have to have something in policy. And then just to add to it, that's freaking loud. just to add to it, if there's a disaster declared in Montezuma County, this doesn't kick in. Our emergency ops plan has a section that says if we work over 50 hours, we get paid, and that's in emergency ops plans, because we have to pay for that unless we get the funds, which might take 3 years from FEMA, whatever. So this only applies to helping other jurisdictions, so. Do I need to read it there, attorney, or we're good?
No, I just have a couple comments. This is the first that I've seen of this, and I just had a couple comments on it.
Okay.
I would suggest that we take the exempt and the non-exempt language out and replace it with salaried and non-salaried.
Really?
Because exempt and non-exempt, that's a term of art under the law. And an exempt employee is still an exempt employee.
Oh, got it. So you can't
Exempt-
turn me into one.
Exempt employment has
Or
more to
out of
do
one.
with what you're doing, your level of skill, your specialty skills, than it does with salary versus non-salary, if that makes sense. So that's
Yep,
one.
it does.
That's one comment that I would have. I mean, the only other comment that I would have, I don't know how this ties into budget concerns. I mean, it sounds like what's contemplated is that, if this is approved, then it would probably be paid by some outside entity, some kind of
Yes.
disaster relief fund. The policy doesn't really illuminate that in any meaningful way. I mean, this says authorization for deployment and payment will be approved by the county administrator prior to responding. Is it contemplated that the county is going to pay hourly for these sorts of things?
No.
Okay.
So the county will give me my wage, and within 30 days, depending on the entity that fills the paperwork out, anywhere from 30 to 60 days, and they will reimburse whatever my time is.
Okay.
So it will impact the budget if there's overtime, and then when you get paid back, it'll impact the budget going down in my salary line item. So it'll go up and down, I guess, and it will reduce. I mean, I go once a year sometimes, maybe not at all. The only other employee I think we have that's salary is Jennifer Morris, who works on a team. But we're not anticipating more than 1 or 2 people anyway that's going to be doing this. And it will actually reduce the budget throughout the year. If we go, it'll actually reduce your budget because you're getting paid that time.
So as long as
better.
administration and finance are okay with that, I think it's a little bit ambiguous when you read it, because I think that it certainly would leave the door open for an employee coming in and saying, hey, authorize payment, county. I think we just need to be sure that reimbursement piece is taken care of.
Yes, yes. And
but-
it's standard procedure for the feds and the state.
Okay.
So when we do get deployed, we have a resource order. It's already stated in there what we're going to get paid, and all that information is.
I guess the only comment I would have is this is a very open-ended, broad provision. And, for the board, we have an open-ended, broad provision that certainly opens the door to what could be a pretty significant expenditure outside of the county budget that could be approved by the county administrator. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that would happen or that there's any risk of that happening. I'm just saying the door's open for that. And so, not so much for the people we have up here, but if we get another county administrator, we get another emergency manager 10 years down the road, all of a sudden that emergency manager goes out, we don't have reimbursement in place, authorized, bam, we run up a huge bill, and BOC's going to be sitting here
Right.
blindsided. That's my concern with the way this is written. I don't know whether that's a concern of this board. I don't know whether I'm just being overly cautious here. I'm happy to sit down and see if we can't rework this in some way to close that loophole, or if you guys are comfortable with it the way it is, then that's fine too. But it certainly does allow for a loophole where the county
Right.
could get a big bill.
Well, the additional amount of funding, in my case, so it's about the only example I have, is approximately $3,000 in 14-day deployment. So that's $3,000 per year extra with the overtime that's in there.
And I certainly understand that practically speaking, my concern might not be founded. I mean, I understand that these deployments aren't forever, but, you know, we always are taught to think in terms of worst-case scenarios.
I know,
And,
me too.
And so.
That's why we differ on MOUs and everything else we do. Yeah, because we're both here to protect the board, so that's why I.
You know, otherwise it looks good. I would definitely change the exempt, non-exempt piece, and then, you know, I'll let you guys weigh in on how you want to deal with that concern I just had. I mean, that's a judgment call.
Okay.
Right. Anything
That's all
else?
I got.
Okay.
Okay, get out.
All right, I'm leaving. And you won't need me here tomorrow.
No. We told you we were changing your designator, didn't we?
Sure.
Okay,
Panic 1?
panic one.
Yeah, from Dr. Disaster to Panic 1. I'm
Sounds
sure
better.
something else has
Sounds
changed.
better on the radio.
Nuisance 1.
No,
No, Panic 1. Yeah, it sounds better on the radio. Papa 1.
yeah,
Papa 1. So yeah, whatever you guys decide is just, we've been pretty busy, and I finally got off of the deployment side because I'm not gonna do a lot of it, but if I do, I didn't want to go out from underneath anybody else except the county, and that way we get paid for it, so it just makes more sense.
how many do we have that can go out? How many in the counties on there?
Exempt is only me and Jennifer, and
Okay.
she would go out for a training,
Yeah,
but she's really busy too, and she would not go to hurricanes. She would do 7-day deployments, well,
Okay.
8 days. That's emergency management teams that,
Yeah,
like we
well, I
went
know-
to Fremont County,
I know Vicky's,
like Vicky.
Yeah.
Vicky was hourly
we've
anyway.
got one from health, you just introduced me to him.
Right. Well, then, yeah, Trent might go, but he's hourly too.
Okay,
So I'm the only one actually that's probably gonna do anything. Jennifer might go once to get her book signed off. You know,
sure.
and I gotta go because I need to, you know, my memory's short, so I have to go to learn this stuff and come back. I haven't gone this year because we were like busy.
I was gonna say you forgot.
Yeah, I forgot to go. Yeah, that was it. So whatever you guys decide.
Okay,
This was the language that I pulled from 2 different languages from some other counties, so. But yeah, I'm happy to have you massage it too, either way. But,
yeah,
We'll let these guys make the call, and
Okay.
then if we need to, we'll convene and tweak it if we need to.
okay,
all right.
you good?
Thank you, sir.
All right, have a great day.
Yeah,
What else is on the agenda?
nothing.
So you want to hear a story? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't have any.
Anybody else have anything? Having passed through our regular order of business, we are adjourned.